All right, let's see how this goes. I got really bad allergies right now, so I feel like I'm all nasally. A couple things that came up that I thought would be interesting to talk about. So on a recent call, I think I talked about this last week, part of this entrepreneur group that I'm in. The subject of the month was overcoming or dealing with overwhelm and anxiety and shit like that in business. And the last call was a Q&A call, and this one guy asked a question. I don't remember exactly the question, but it was like something along the lines of asking advice on how to do pretty much like a complete 180 on his life, because, he was saying like, his health, his relationships, his business, like everything has gone downhill, like his fitness level and all this stuff. And one of the answers to the question was kind of harsh, but I kind of agree with it in a sense. He said something like, your life is a shit show, man. What are you going to do about it? So I don't know. I can understand how some people might be put off by that. But for me, that's kind of like the kind of advice I like. It's just like, let's not beat around the bush, man. Like if you really need a whole 180, like you're all out of shape, your relationships are bad, you're not doing what you're supposed to do in your business. Sometimes that's what you need is sort of like a harsh, I don't even know if it's harsh, but you need a direct response, And so I had read this book called Thick Face, Black Heart. I actually only read half of it. And then I got sidetracked and I kind of forgot that I had this. And I don't remember what it was, but something made me want to look at it. I don't know if no, I just thought about it. I don't know. So I picked it up and I looked at the bookmark where I was, and there was a passage in there that I thought was really interesting. And this whole chapter here is about endurance. It's chapter 6. And it relates to all the stuff that we were talking, similar things to that what we were talking about this month in that group. One of the things I found particularly interesting was this one passage on page 141. It's talking about in search of a stress-free life. And it says, like, imagine if you can get this magic pill where if you took it, then all of a sudden you don't have any problems and no negative experiences or anything like that. And it's asking the reader, like, wouldn't you be so happy and stress-free and have just such a good, easy life? And then it goes on to say that you most likely wouldn't, because as humans, you need to have obstacles to overcome in order to actually be happy. So, if you didn't have any kind of things to deal with, that wouldn't actually lead to being stress-free. It probably would actually stress you out a little bit, because you'd be everything would be working out, and you wouldn't have any kind of mountains to climb or any of that kind of stuff. So I thought it was pretty cool how it was approached. I'll just read part of this. It says, the absence of negative experience in our life does not alone contribute to the quality of our life. As humans, we need challenges in order to develop fully and bring forth all of the positive aspects within ourselves. The only way to feel truly happy is by confronting these challenges and overcoming them. I just thought that was pretty cool, and I like that sort of idea. So I had read this chapter a while back, months back, so I was just skimming through just to see what else was in there, and there's a lot of cool stuff in here. And one thing that stood out to me in here also was I don't know what these are. These like little passages in this chapter, but it's number 7. It says, live life as if it were someone else's. And the way that the writer is describing this, it lines up pretty well with Stoic philosophy. Because they talk about something similar. It's about being able to give yourself the same advice that you would give another person. Because I'm sure we've all experienced it, where somebody will come to you with a problem and you feel like you have all these good answers and good advice to give that person, but then when it's you that's dealing with the same stuff, you're caught up all in the emotions of the shit you're dealing with, and it's hard to give yourself the same advice. So I thought that was pretty cool, the parallel in Stoic philosophy. But like all this stuff, and I remember we were just talking about, the team and I at the shop were reading The Untethered Soul, and in the last meeting, I was like, this stuff is all cool and it's cool to think about, but it's like, I struggle with how do you actually implement that into your life? Because when you're in the shit of the stuff, when you're in the thick of the stuff that you're dealing with, it's hard to just just allow these things to like when you're struggling with something and then you think, oh yeah, I remember that thing I read in that book. It's like the struggle is part of the journey. And like, you need that in order to get to the next level and to actually achieve happiness is to overcome these things. It's like, it's cool to know that stuff, but I don't know. I have a hard time like really letting it help. But at the same time, I don't know. I don't think that's exactly true, because when I do practice the things that I read about and these sort of like concepts, when I actually put them into practice, I do find them very helpful. And one of the things that I've always found really helpful, and I've talked about it a bunch of times, is like when you're actually going through the shit, and this is just kind of reworded and different concepts that I've heard before. You know, like Marcus Anderson talks about the gift of adversity, and lots of people talk about strength through adversity and all these kind of things. And this is a similar thing. It's just a slightly different way of looking at it, like understanding that like true happiness is overcoming that stuff. So when I do put it into practice, I do find that kind of stuff helpful. Like when I'm really struggling with something, one of the things I like to do is go outside and just feel gratitude for those things, because I know that there's something good on the other side of it. Like once you overcome it, once you get past it, at the very least, you're going to build up some kind of resilience and all this kind of stuff. But usually when there's some kind of struggles, a lot of times, I don't know, it seems there's a reason for it. So like my stress mainly comes from like business and stuff like that. So I do find it easy to be grateful for that, because I know that's part of the deal. That's what I signed up for. So it's like all the stress and anxiety and all this kind of stuff, not only part of the deal, but when things are difficult, a lot of times that's a good sign that you're heading in the right direction. So I think something that I need to do more, and I think other people could probably benefit from this, is to use some of these ideas to sort of put yourself in situations that you need to overcome and cultivate mental toughness. So one thing I've been trying to force myself to do again is cold showers. And I know a lot of people might think that that's not like a big deal, but it is a big deal to some people. And it's like, when you get into like a completely cold shower, like I'll set a timer for 5 minutes and I can't get out. You know, the small things like that, and it's like 5 minutes, it's not a huge deal, but it's like while you're in there, all you want to do is get out. And before you get in, you're like, all I want to do is not get into this cold shower. But once you're done with it, you feel a sense of, I don't know how to explain it, but you accomplished something. You won a small battle with your mind by doing that, you know. And there's I don't know. I always feel really good after a cold shower, like the blood's pumping, and I don't know. It's good for you, supposedly. Who knows? But you did overcome something hard. And so finding little things in your life when things are going well, finding little things that are harder, I think is a good way to prepare yourself for the bigger things. And so it really comes down to building mental toughness. This was initially going to be a really long, well, not a really long, but a longer episode, because like I had a whole bunch of bullet points. But at the end of the day, I was just like, I don't know. I didn't really, I don't know. Once I was reading it, I was like, I don't really want to. In my opinion, it doesn't really require a whole lot of bullet points and a whole lot of action steps. It's mainly just understanding that the hardships in your life are part of the process. And it's not about eliminating the stressful shit in your life, but overcoming it. And when I say not eliminating it, part of it also is like, if you have like negative people in your life, or people that only bring stress and only bring bad shit to the table, like, of course, get rid of that, you know. But it's not about, that's not really what it's about. I mean, it's about like, I don't know, it's about exactly what I just said, like overcoming the hard shit, you know, in whatever form that is for you. Because that, at the end of the day, that's how you actually generate real happiness. And so we'll see, we'll see if that's true. I don't know. I'm working on it.
All right. Appreciate each and every one of you guys who are supporting the cause and continue to spread the love. And yeah, stay up.